Hello, my name is Nora Walker and I'm 29 years old. I work as a software designer, and life is usually simple until I have to deal with my mother-in-law, Victoria. For years, she has treated me like I'm less than good enough for her precious son, Daniel. No matter how much I tried to win her over, she never liked me. But I didn't care much anymore. Tonight was Chloe's engagement party, and I planned to survive it without any drama, or so I thought. The engagement party was in a grand ballroom, with chandeliers hanging from the ceiling and tables filled with fancy food. I walked in wearing a sleek navy blue dress that fit me perfectly. It wasn't too flashy, but it made me feel confident. As soon as I entered, I noticed people turning to look at me. I smiled politely, but deep inside, I knew this would make Victoria mad. "Wow, you look stunning, Nora," said one of Daniel's cousins. I thanked her, but I could already feel eyes burning into my back. Sure enough, when I glanced across the room, Victoria was glaring at me, whispering something into Chloe's ear. Chloe rolled her eyes and smirked. I took a deep breath and walked toward Daniel, hoping he'd keep me company. "You're getting a lot of compliments tonight," Daniel said, kissing my cheek. "Mom doesn't look too happy about it, though." He chuckled softly, but I could see he was also a little worried. "Try to stay out of her way, okay?" I nodded. Staying out of Victoria's way was the plan. But it wasn't long before trouble found me. While Daniel went off to talk to one of his old friends, I stood by the drinks table, enjoying a glass of sparkling water. That's when Victoria approached me. She was wearing a green dress that looked expensive and elegant, but there was a sharp edge to her smile that made me uncomfortable. "Lovely dress, Nora," she said, her voice sweet but fake. "Almost too lovely for an engagement party that isn't yours." I knew what she meant. She thought I was trying to steal attention from Chloe. I smiled politely and responded, "Thank you, Victoria. I just wanted to wear something simple and comfortable." Her eyes narrowed slightly, and I could tell she didn't like my response. "Well, you might want to be more careful. Accidents can happen when you're too busy showing off," she said before walking away. I sighed and tried to shake off her words, but they stuck with me. She was up to something, I could feel it. A few moments later, Chloe walked by with her fiancé, Jason, on her arm. She gave me a fake smile and leaned in close. "Be careful, Nora. My mom's in a mood tonight." I stayed quiet, but my gut told me something bad was coming. And I was right. It happened so fast. As I walked across the room to find Daniel, Victoria accidentally bumped into me, spilling a glass of red wine all over the front of my dress. Gasps echoed around the room, and before I could react, Victoria reached for the napkin in her hand, pretending to help me clean it. But instead, she pulled at the fabric and tore the front of my dress. "Oh no," she said loudly, drawing everyone's attention. Nora's dress ripped. What a shame. I stood there frozen, my face burning as people stared and whispered. Chloe laughed softly from the corner, pretending to cover her mouth as if she was trying to hide it. I wanted to run, but something inside me said, no, not this time. I wasn't going to let them humiliate me again. I quickly excused myself and made my way to the bathroom to change into the backup dress I had brought, just in case. As I stared at myself in the mirror, I thought, this isn't over, Victoria. She might have embarrassed me tonight, but she had no idea what I was about to reveal. I walked out of the bathroom in my backup dress, a black, knee-length dress with silver details along the neckline. It wasn't as eye-catching as the first dress, but it didn't matter. I wasn't here to impress anyone anymore. I was here to fight back. When I returned to the ballroom, the party was in full swing, but I could see Victoria and Chloe standing near the dessert table, whispering to each other like two villains plotting their next move. I knew exactly what I needed to do. I walked up to Daniel, who was talking to Jason and a few other guests. He smiled when he saw me. "There you are. I was wondering where you went." "I had a little accident, but I'm fine now," I replied, giving him a reassuring smile. Jason, Chloe's fiancé, turned to me with a kind expression. "You look great, Nora. Don't let small things like that ruin your night." "Oh, I won't," I said, but inside, I was already preparing to ruin Chloe's night instead. I excused myself and walked toward the stage where the microphone was set up for speeches. My heart raced, but I kept my cool. I tapped the microphone, and the sound echoed through the room, grabbing everyone's attention. "Excuse me, everyone," I said, my voice calm but steady. "I'd like to say a few words to congratulate Chloe and Jason on their engagement." Chloe's face froze. She glanced at Victoria, who shook her head slightly, as if warning her to stay quiet. "I've known Chloe for a few years now," I continued, "and I've seen how much this engagement means to her. But there's something I think Jason and everyone else here should know before they take the next step." The room fell silent. All eyes were on me. I spotted Daniel in the crowd, his face filled with confusion and concern, but I gave him a small nod, silently telling him to trust me. "Chloe, you've been hiding a secret from Jason, haven't you?" I asked, turning to face her directly. Chloe's eyes widened, and she shook her head. "What are you talking about, Nora?" she stammered. I reached into my purse and pulled out a folded piece of paper. "This is a payment notice from a debt collector. Chloe owes $50,000 in gambling debts. She's been hiding it from Jason and using borrowed money to pay off what she can. Isn't that right, Chloe's?" Gasps filled the room, and Jason stepped forward, grabbing the paper from my hand. He scanned it quickly, his face turning pale. "Chloe, is this true?" Chloe's lips trembled. "Jason, I was going to tell you. I just needed time to fix everything." Jason shook his head in disbelief. "Fix it? By lying to me? By dragging me into your mess?" Victoria tried to step in. "Nora, this isn't the place for this kind of discussion," she said, her voice shaking. But I wasn't done. "Oh, but it is, Victoria," I said firmly. "You see, you knew about Chloe's debts all along. You helped her cover them up, and you even tried to bribe me to stay quiet." I turned to the crowd. "She offered me money to keep the secret, but I refused." I knew Jason deserved to know the truth. The room exploded with whispers and murmurs. Chloe broke down, tears streaming down her face as she begged Jason to listen to her. But he was already walking away, leaving her standing there in disgrace. Victoria grabbed Chloe by the arm and hissed something into her ear before turning to me. "You've ruined everything," she spat, her face red with anger. "No, Victoria," I said calmly. "You did that yourself. Maybe next time, you'll think twice before trying to humiliate me." As I walked out of the ballroom with Daniel by my side, I felt a sense of relief wash over me. Years of insults and mistreatment had finally come to an end. I had exposed their lies, and there was no going back for them now. The ride home was quiet. Daniel drove, occasionally glancing over at me, but he didn't say much. I could tell he was processing everything that had happened. I stared out the window, watching the city lights blur past, feeling both relief and exhaustion. Tonight had been a whirlwind, but I had no regrets. When we finally pulled into our driveway, Daniel parked the car and turned to me. "Nora, I need to ask, did you plan this?" I smiled faintly. "No, I didn't plan for them to tear my dress and humiliate me in front of everyone. But once they did, I realized I had enough ammunition to hit back." He nodded, a mixture of pride and concern in his eyes. "I'm glad you stood up for yourself. But things are going to get messy with my family now." I reached for his hand. "Daniel, your family has treated me like an outsider for years. I tried everything to earn their respect, but they never gave me a chance. Tonight wasn't just about me, it was about stopping them from walking all over me forever." He squeezed my hand gently. "I understand, Nora. I'm with you. But you know they'll try to get revenge." I sighed. "Let them try. I'm done being the quiet, obedient daughter-in-law." The next morning, the fallout from the engagement party had already begun. My phone buzzed nonstop with messages from family members, some blaming me and others secretly supporting me. Daniel received a call from Victoria, but he ignored it. We both knew she wasn't calling to apologize. Around noon, there was a knock at the door. I opened it to find Chloe standing there, her face puffy from crying. She looked miserable, and for a moment, I almost felt bad for her almost. "What do you want, Chloe?" I asked, crossing my arms. I need to talk to you," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I hesitated before stepping aside to let her in. She sat on the couch, wringing her hands nervously. "You ruined my life last night," she said, her eyes welling up with tears again. I sighed and sat across from her. "No, Chloe. You ruined your own life by lying to Jason and hiding your gambling addiction. I didn't force you to make those choices." She sniffled, wiping her eyes. "I know. But you didn't have to do it in front of everyone." "Yes, I did," I said firmly. "You and your mom have humiliated me so many times. Did you really think I was just going to let it happen again? Last night was my breaking point, Chloe." She nodded slowly, as if she finally understood. "Jason won't talk to me. He's staying at a hotel, and I don't know if he'll ever forgive me." "That's something you'll have to work out with him," I replied. "But don't expect me to fix it for you. I'm done cleaning up your messes." She sat in silence for a few moments before standing up. "I guess I deserved that," she said quietly. "But for what it's worth, I'm sorry, Nora. I'm sorry for everything." I didn't respond. I wasn't sure if I believed her apology, but it didn't really matter. I had finally stood up for myself, and I wasn't going to let their apologies pull me back into their toxic games. Life felt lighter. For the first time in years, I wasn't carrying the burden of trying to please Victoria and Chloe. Daniel and I focused on ourselves, spending more time together without worrying about family drama. One afternoon, while I was working on a project at home, Daniel walked in with a letter in his hand. "It's from Jason," he said, handing it to me. I opened it and read the short note. "Thank you, Nora. You saved me from making the biggest mistake of my life. I've broken off the engagement and I'm moving on. Don't let them drag you down again." I smiled and set the letter aside. Jason had made the right decision, and so had I. As Daniel sat next to me on the couch, he wrapped his arm around my shoulders. "Do you think they'll ever leave us alone?" he asked. "They won't have a choice," I replied confidently. "Because the next time they try, I'll be ready." For the first time in a long while, I felt free. I had taken back control of my life, and no one, not even Victoria or Chloe, could take it away from me again.